got this thing together. I just temporarily put this bottom stretcher in to show you exactly the way this thing is going to go. It's a lot smaller than that other one that's in the 40s, but I think I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's going to be a nice little thing here, and especially a nice little gift. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach the top, but before that I have to put this bottom stretcher in, attach that, and I'll screw it in. The thing that I wanted to show you about the glue that I used, remember I used that Gorilla Glue? I said to you guys that it expands. Well, this is probably last week or so. No, I didn't put it together last week. I put it together minutes ago. And you can see how it's oozing out of those different areas. It's not a big deal. I'll take my paint scraper and I'll scrape it down afterwards. But I just wanted to show you how that thing is going to expand. Titebond 2 will not do that. Polyvinyl acetate glue will not do that. So it's important that you understand that if you use that, if you used a little bit, it might do the job and stay there. But if it does expand and you have a finished project already, it's going to make a difference. All right, the last thing I'm going to do here now is I'm going to put 2 screws in the outside, which will be the only 2 screws that you'll be able to see. I'm going to put the 2 screws in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to also put a clamp on that to make sure that the glue sets in place. This fits so tight that it takes me a little bit of time to get that apart. But what I'm going to do is the same thing that I did when I was drilling my other holes. This is going to go that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a pilot. I'm going to use a 2-inch screw in this end. When I'm drilling here, kind of difficult, isn't it? I don't know where that dado is. I kind of think it's about there. How about this? If I flip this over, and now I can see the exact center of where that dado is, and I drill a hole through here, when it comes out the other side, I could then countersink it from here. So that's an easy way if you don't know where to center that hole. I'll do the same thing on this side. I'll drill right through the dado so it comes out the other side, flip it over and countersink it. So I'll always get a perfect result. So that side is going that way. Oops. You know what I don't want to do is I don't want to leave an exposed drill bit. I want to put the screw tip in there. I want to make sure I do that. I'm going to take this bad boy, set that this way. Remember, my side support is going up. That S is going to face up. Before I put it together, a little bit more Gorilla Glue. Yeah, if I had left this Gorilla Glue like this for a week, it either would have expanded or it would be hard as a rock now. This stuff is old. I hate to throw it out. Some people would say it's hardening up. Just get rid of it. Nah, I can't do it. Can't do it. Got to run this place like it's like your last penny.
Depression.
Yeah, it's like depression. So now I'm done with this. I'm not going to glue the top on. I do want to clean up this screwdriver really, really well, because this stuff is as sticky as the day is long. And it gets everywhere. So let me put that. I'll put that on this scrap piece of plywood. Let me tighten these down so I could use this the next time. I also don't ever take the top off of that. I unscrew it. I think it's easier access. Let me just toss this out so it doesn't come back to bite me. Just, now we'll get, just throw it out. That was a good one, huh? That was a good one. Those are classic jokes. That's Abbott Costello. Take a look. This was my S side, my top side. What don't I like about this? Well, I like everything. It's pretty clear, but I can see saw marks in there. See those saw marks? Yeah, I know it's going to be outside. I know Annie will never see it. Well, actually, her eyesight's getting better. Her hearing's getting worse. I didn't want to scrape the saw marks off. That way I could sleep tonight. And my pencil marks. That's good. She's the only woman I know that's getting younger as she ages. Yes, I'm turning into a train wreck and she's getting better and better. That looks good, that looks good. I want to put that in there. I want to snug this rascal down. I'm going to tap this up a little bit. Take that little red hammer that I always hated, but now I like. I want to make sure that that's nice and even. Tap it down that way, that's good. Now I'm going to take this guy. Do I flip that on there? No, that'll probably fall. You think that's going to fall? Of course, it always does. This one fits a little bit, doesn't fit as tight. So with that in mind, I'm going to get my 2-inch wood screws here, kids. And I'm going to attach this side first. Hey, piece of walnut, right? Classic example, heartwood, springwood. See how the springwood is lighter than the heartwood? That's that dark color of walnut. The tree will eventually turn that. This gets smaller and smaller as the tree ages. But if you got a really immature tree, a tree that was maybe 4 or 5 years old, it would be mostly white and very little brown on the inside. But that walnut is a great example of springwood and heartwood. All right, let's screw this on. I'm gonna slide this bad boy. I knew that was gonna happen. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen. Thank goodness I've decided to do this side first. So that's nice and even. I drilled my pilot hole. I'm gonna take my 2-inch wood screw. We'll go into here. I'll hold on nice and tight here, nice and even. And like I've always done, on off, 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 on off. Snug tight, torque right there. There's the torque. And as my friend Joey Stapkowitz would say when he's sheetrocking, whenever you put the screw in, always ease it in. Ease it in. I always like that term. Ease it in. On off, on off, on off. This stuff is messy, I'll tell you that, Gorilla Glue. Snug. Torque, 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 torque. Eased in. That will expand. This will expand. And once it gets on your hand, if you don't get it off right away, it stays sticky forever. Let me get a clamp. I think I have my clamp here, or did I put it away? No, it's right there. You know why I didn't see it? Right under my nose. It's a good one, huh? Good one. Again, another classic Abbott and Costello. Here's what I don't want to do. I don't really want to have this clamp touch that glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to elevate the clamp, or maybe on the smarter side, hey, dude, check this out. Is this guy smart or what? Whoa, how good is that? He used these little pieces of wood as spacer blocks. How come that's not going down? Oh, there it is. Ouch. Ow, I hit my finger. That's the beauty of this. You're getting the first hand. All right. Here's my project. This looks pretty good. Actually feels pretty stable. When I put that top slat in there, I think I'll really get it to stiffen up pretty well. This is basically it. So now what I'm going to do is I have to decide what I want to use for the top. And herein the problem lies. If you were just go to Home Depot and buy 2x4s, you know what you're going to get. Because this stuff all came for free, I don't know what it's going to look like. So what I had to do is assess it. Let's take a look at some pieces and maybe you could help me assess this. Is this a good choice for the top? I kind of like the color. It's different. All these other pieces are jet white, has some brown to it. The thing that I don't like about it, if you look at it, it's the center of the tree. This is the pith of the center of the tree. What's the center of the tree called? The pith, P-I-T-H. And you could see those concentric rings around here. That's the center of the tree, which means that's probably unstable. But if you notice, it's porous. There's a lot of holes in this. So if I'm going to have this outside and it's going to weather the elements, if I get some rain on that, that rain is going to stay in there and actually get into that wood, and I don't think I want it. Boom. So this one is out. How about this one? This one looks pretty good, but it's shorter than all these other ones. So if I put this on my top, I want a little bit more overhang than just 3/4 of an inch. This one's out. How about this one? Well, I was real happy because this seemed like it was the longest one, which is really cool. But the bad thing about it is that it's got kind of these scarf joints on the center of it, which probably isn't that good if I wanted to use most of this. So I put this off to the side. The ones that I kind of have narrowed it down to is this one, and this one. All of these are about the same size. Let me see. Yeah, these two are the same length. My distance from outside to outside is about 26 inches. This is about 29.5. So it's gonna give me maybe about 1.5 inches on either side, which I think will look pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with these three. Some people say to me, well, you have a space on the other ones and the space is pretty significant. If you wanted to, you could just space this out like that. And I look at it and I'm going, I don't like it. It just looks too boring. Looks kind of stupid to me. I'm gonna put in at least 3 of these. So what I almost also want to do, I always like the top to be a little bit clean. I'm gonna surface these down. I'm gonna take 1, 2, and I'm gonna take 3. I'm gonna surface them down. I'm gonna clean them up. If you take a look at this, doesn't look so good. See what it looks like when we surface it down. How thick are these pieces? Everybody should remember? 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Which means, what am I going to set the surfacer to? Go all the way down to 2 inches? Because it only adjusts on the upper side. So I'm going to drop the table all the way down below 1.5 inches. I should put on 2 pair of glasses so I could really read this. Hate wearing 2 pair of glasses, but I guess that's why they call them bifocals. What I want to do is I'm going to crank this up till I get right about, till I get right to about 1.5 inches, a little bit more than 1.5 inches. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten down the table and I'm going to send this through. All 3 of these should be pretty close to being the same thickness. Let's see what it looks like. Check to see if they're all the same thickness. Yeah, pretty much. We'll raise it up about a turn. Clockwise. Set it through again. This is going to be a little shaky. That these pieces aren't flat. Remember, this was scrap wood that somebody gave us, so there's a curve to it. cameraman's laughing her tail off. Put the flat side down. Hey, it worked. It's just a flat side on this one. Surfacing, really? Perhaps I forgot to surface it. How quick this video is supposed to be? Put the flat side down, I swear. Nobody trusts me with the surfacer anymore. Very soft, which is the reason why I'm making one complete turn. If you were working with maple, you might only do a quarter of a turn or a half a turn. What do you think? Is that a good thickness? Ho, ho, ho. These look pretty good. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Last one. Which is the worst side? I don't like that. This is side of the and we'll use this you want to use that chair or use that? I love woodworking. So there are my three pieces. They look pretty good. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to joint one edge on each piece and then figure out how I want to cut these, what width and length I want to cut them to. Thankfully, we leave the surfacer. Come on over to the jointer. Which edge do I joint? It's always the better of the two. Yeah. Let's joint this edge here. All my weight's on the back. All my weight's on the back. And I'm listening when I hear the sound all the way across. Consistent sound. I'm done. Once I'm done, what do I put here? An X. And of course my pencil is facing up. Stuck in my pocket. Like I said, all in one take. Yeah. way it won't get stuck. You listening? Pretty good. One more. Good. Hands in the back. Remember, these edges are real sharp. Let's go with this end. That's pretty good. The next thing that I want to do is figure out how I want this top to look. When I do this, I want to drop the board. I want to think of how wide that space is that I'm going to span. And I think I said to you that it was 12 1/4. I don't want to make a mistake, so I'll double check it. From outside to outside is 12 1/4. I can make it a little bit larger if I wanted to. There's that glue on my hand. Ew. See how this is about even? I can expand it. But if I make it 12 1/4, I don't like the gap that's in between those. I think it's too big. What I want to do is I want to have a 1/2 inch gap in between each of them. I think that would look better. So if I did this mathematically, and remember I have the wood for this. I don't have the chalk for this, but I have the wood for this. Of course, nothing in my chalk. Oh, baby. This might be the worst woodworking lesson you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. Maybe I should just write in blood. A box of chalk. There's chalk. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So my top from outside to outside is 12 1/4. I want a 1/2 inch. But I also don't want them necessarily all the same. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this so that the larger section is in the middle. I'm going to have two smaller sections on either side. I think I'm going to do it that way. Which way would you like it? Would you like the middle one larger, smaller ones on the outside, or a larger one on the outside and then two smaller ones, right? How about that? Wouldn't that be? Oh my gosh. Of course we're going to have it this way. Of course. So I'm going to cut this, but I want to keep this number in mind. I need it to be 12 1/4. You know what I'm going to do? A little bit larger than 12 1/4. Let's make the whole thing 13. 13 is the number, okay? As bad as this little lesson was, we'll make it 13 inches. Let me go back to the table saw. I'll figure out which one looks the best. What I'm going to do is, and I'm going to do it next time because it couldn't get any worse than it is now. I'll rip those to the width. I'm going to go to the router table. I'm going to round them over, maybe even bullnose them, and then we'll screw them on and we'll finish up this whole project. See you next time. I appreciate you staying with me at the Surfacer. Good luck in all your woodworking, and realize that sometimes you just have a day like this.